Hey everybody, this is Dan Stolebarger. Hey, I'm in San Diego. I'm in a park. I think there's going to be noise, but I'm going to give this a go. I'm down here visiting my son Trevor, and I'm going to be down here for a few weeks, so I'm going to try to find different places that I can actually record the Middle East update. This is the week of May 2nd, and a reminder, make sure, especially with the noise in the background, that you go to our website at holygroundexplorations.com and access the PDF PowerPoint that accompanies this YouTube. There's much more information in the PowerPoint. Again, holygroundexplorations.com. One word of advertisement. We have an Israel trip coming up. Very excited about this opportunity, September 15th through the 24th. We call it our Issachar Tour. Holy Ground seeks to give people that travel with us two types of experiences: to understand and experience the Israel of the Bible, as well as the Israel of today. Our Revealing Israel, that's usually in the spring, that tour is weighted a little bit more towards understanding the Israel of the Bible, while today, or this tour, Israel, or the Issachar Tour, is weighted a little bit more heavier on the side of understanding the Israel of today. So go to our website, Holy Ground Explorations, and check it out. I always begin these updates with sort of my musings, and today we're remembering the Holocaust, and it's Holocaust Memorial Day in Israel, and it's important for us to remember, to never forget. And at this time where we see the rise of anti-Semitism today, we need to be more emphatic with the never forget and we will remember. We need to be praying for the peace of Jerusalem, but let's also pray protection. Let's pray that Jewish eyes would be open to receive their Messiah. You know, there's a lot of talk about this so-called Trump ultimate peace plan that's coming up. Two-state solution. Everybody's sort of chiming in, but you know, it's difficult to imagine a peace plan when the person on the other side of the table, in regards to the Holocaust, the quotes that come from Fatah, listen up. It says, Jews deserve to be killed because of who they are. That's your peace partner. Good luck with that. Well, our news bites this week, we begin with the confirmation from the UN, big surprise, that the terror tunnel that was discovered on the border of Lebanon last week is the third violation of a ceasefire, a so-called ceasefire. You know, I find this interesting. Back to that concept of this two-state solution, and there's extending an olive branch to the other side of the table. I read this article that says the PLO sees Jews visiting the Temple Mount as very similar to the Muslims massacring Christians in churches on Easter in Sri Lanka. So let me get this straight. Jews visiting the Temple Mount and over 300 Christians slaughtered and killed in a church on Easter. That's about the same? And you think there's a chance for peace? Hardly. The ultimate deal watch, however, I found this again flabbergasting. The Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has offered Mahmoud Abbas, the head of the Palestinian Authority, $10 billion, that's with a B, billion dollars if he accepts the Trump peace plan. $10 billion. It doesn't matter if it was $10 gazillion. It ain't going to happen. And then last night in his speech in Israel, Netanyahu on Holocaust Remembrance Day warned of the danger that is still posed by anti-Semitics or anti-Semitism across the globe today. His quote, "The radical right, the radical left, and radical Islam agree on only one thing: the hatred of the Jews." Let that one sink in. While we're talking about anti-Semitism, as you know, as I mentioned, I'm down here in San Diego, and of course, while being down here, we had the horrific event of a 19-year-old going into a synagogue and opening fire on the congregation. His gun jammed. There was many heroes in this story. You can read that article, the next one, about those heroes. But he did kill a 60-year-old woman. He wounded 3 others, and he fled with 50 unspent bullets. Again, it's just hard to put into words, to realize that what's taken place today, this hatred of the Jews, and you know, it's not stopping there. I think I mentioned is Judeo-Christians as well. Christians are being martyred just as often, it seems, as the Jewish people are today. And these are the days in which we're living, and so it's important for us to be alert, be aware, be in prayer for all of these events. Some of the heroes, the one in particular, Lori Gilbert Kay, a true woman of valor. She threw herself in front of the rabbi in order to save his life, and she lost hers. Survived by her husband and her daughter, Hannah. A woman of valor, Lori Gilbert Kay. You know, the picture that the media gives of Trump, I don't know how that spins in light of what I'm going to read to you now. Trump calls the rabbi from Poway, Rabbi Goldstein. Rabbi Goldstein's words is, "He was amazing. I've never spoken to a president of the United States." And I asked him what he was doing about anti-Semitism, and Trump answered, "You know, I got a son-in-law that's Jewish, my daughter's Jewish, my grandkids are Jewish. I love Israel and I support Israel. I just annexed the Golan Heights. I moved the embassy. You have to know I love the Jewish people." And Goldstein said, "I've never heard such words from any president. He was so kind, so generous." He spent over half an hour on the phone with this rabbi. Is that the picture that you see that's being spun by the media? One of my greatest concerns in this event that took place was I just read an article today, and it's about replacement theology, but listen to this. The alleged synagogue shooter, he was a churchgoer who talked Christian theology, raising tough questions for evangelical pastors. Listen up. Before he allegedly walked in the synagogue and opened fire, John Earnest appears to have written a 7-page letter spelling out his core beliefs that the Jewish people, guilty in his views of faults ranging from killing Jesus to controlling the media, that they deserve to die. That his intention was to kill Jews, and that would glorify God. Days later, the Reverend Micah Edmondson read those words and was stunned. He was stunned. It certainly calls for a good amount of soul searching, he said. You think? Once again, his views on replacement theology, that the Jews killed Jesus, the fact that because they rejected the Messiah, God rejected them and he replaced them with the church, all of that leads to this exact incident, the the killing of Jews, the hatred of Jews. It's important for younger people, millennial, Gen X's, or whatever, to truly understand the role of Israel today. God's unconditional covenant to Israel, and the calling on the church to come side to side with our Jewish brothers, to live such a life that we cause them jealousy, realizing that we're grafted in together. And as I've already mentioned, may we be people of prayer. God is not finished with Israel. Some good news, the sanctions are working. You can read about that. I love this quote. "The golden days are gone, will never return. Iran doesn't have enough money to give us." A militant with Iranian-backed militia in Syria. Hassan Nasrallah is of the Hezbollah is cranking up the fundraising because they're no longer getting the money that they've gotten in the past from Iran. The national currency of Iran has dropped to historic lows. It used to be in 2017 that $1 equaled approximately 35,000 rials. That's the Iranian currency. But today, $1 will now buy you 130,000 rials. That's how far it's dropped. So good news, it's working. Of course, running out of time. The New York Times, what a joke. And I think it was Alan Dershowitz wrote, and as you can see, make sure you get this PDF so you can see the cartoon, the dog with Netanyahu's face, leash, Trump with blind man glasses on and a skull cap being led by this dog. And the question that Dershowitz asked was, what if the New York Times cartoon had depicted this dog to be a Muslim or a lesbian or an African American or a Mexican? What do you think the outrage would be? But because it's a Jew, no big deal, right? Oh, one last thing. Check out the Instagram article. This is fascinating, and I'll use it as a teaser. Make sure you read the article and give it a follow. It seems very intriguing to me. With that, out of time. God bless you all, and be down here in San Diego. Please remember to keep our family in your prayers. And with that, shalom.